Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS NA Challenger. We're going to be moving into our next semifinals match. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined here by the Neo Steel enthusiast, the Smart Servos enthusiast. Transformation
enthusiast.
Is it Transformation Servos or Smart Servos?
It's Transformation Servos in the multiplayer. In Nova Covert Ops, I believe it is Smart Servos.
All right. Well, welcome, Nathaniel.
Do you know why?
No.
Because it only affects units that actually transform in multiplayer. Whereas units that don't actually transform, it affects in the Nova missions, such as the Liberator, which is not technically a different unit when it transforms. Whereas the Viking and Hellion change forms entirely.
I see. Well, thank you so much for that lore little tidbit. And also welcome to everyone coming in from the World of Warcraft stream. We are here covering the WCS Challenger North American playoffs for StarCraft 2. Hope you guys enjoy the ride. We're going to be moving into a pretty fun match. This is a match that's happened many a time. Scarlett versus MaSa. This is the funny situation where Scarlett, the favored player in most situations, comes up against a player who technically wins a lot less and makes a lot shorter runs in tournaments, but just seems to have Scarlett's number. Had before this year a 70% win rate in series score against Scarlett, but now it's 65%. Scarlett has won all the matches in 2019 against him.
And if you don't know too much about StarCraft, it's basically just orcs in space. So just think about it like that. It should be pretty easy to break down, honestly. As we start up, this is our second semifinal.
Who are the orcs in this situation?
I haven't the slightest idea. That's just it's just a phrase. It's just a saying. I'm just repeating stuff other people have told me, like a good robot.
I heard that's the best way to become a commentator. But
it is.
Starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have a red Zerg player. She is the Queen of Blades. She is Scarlett.
It's probably fabled legend herself. Going up against the man who doesn't really like building his stuff inside of his own base. He is MaSa.
Somewhat notorious for it. As he is going to
cheeser.
Oh yeah, he's going to be proxying those two buildings over there, that left-hand corner of the map.
I discovered something beautiful the other day. I wanted to have a cheese and cracker plate, and I was looking at stuff, and of course I went for sharp yellow cheddar, but there is extra sharp white cheddar as well, and that was quite good. It's gonna almost stings the taste buds.
You are the extra sharp white cheddar of my life.
Well, 3 racks proxied across the map. I don't think that sharp yellow cheddar does it, and I don't even think creamy brie comes close to it. So this is going to be a hell of a game because it's all going to be in on this.
I do love when Terran players do the extra little bit and they actually move back one of the barracks, because there is a difference for a Zerg player when they scout out and see 2 barracks versus 3 barracks. It is a difference in how much of a committal it is. So having that 3rd barracks back a little bit further, usually the Overlord will see the barracks and then kind of turn back because they don't want to just get sniped off. But actually, Scarlett's not going to see it at all. She's going to see it by encountering Marines at her natural with SCVs building bunkers.
Yeah, so she's not going to have any luck at all here. And I think start another bunker. Just might as well go for 2, right? Go for 2. Go for 2. Go for 2. Don't kick it.
Well, he doesn't have the minerals for it right
now. Whatever. Build you 3 Marines at a time. You earned it.
And there's the second bunker. Can you go for the 3 bunker wall off on this map?
Doesn't matter. Scarlett doesn't care. Scarlett's going to take the Cyril approach here, which is you just go up to Ravagers, bust out, and go kill the Terran. Now, it doesn't always work. It's quite hard to hold this if you don't scout it, to be perfectly honest.
MaSa's going for the jugular, though. This is the move where you just try and do as much damage as possible with the Marines before the Roaches are going to be able to pop out. SCVs are still staying alive, but the Marines are all surrounded and should get picked off here, mostly.
I love this. The SCVs weren't fighting, by the way. I think they actually could have helped there. But that's a bold move to go for, because oftentimes you just get caught by lings that are being built at the ramp. But because some Zerg players prefer to do it like this, this could be weird. You could lull Scarlett into a false sense of security. She might think that she can break this, and if she goes for it and doesn't break out, she's dead and the game is over. But normally you're like, okay, I'm going to lose my natural, but you did throw away a lot of the Marines there.
Yeah, I do like that MaSa did keep at least one of the SCVs alive and didn't pull it over into the main base, because he can still repair the bunkers now, which is pretty key against some of these queens. But
yeah,
here we go.
A lot of repair, and this is perfectly timed by Scarlett. She is punishing MaSa actually quite a bit for this, because he's not gonna be able to kill a Ravager, and he's not gonna be able to kill the hatchery. Those are the most expensive things that you would want to kill in this scenario. If Scarlett loses a Ravager, that's pretty bad.
That's a lot of Marines, Nate. I don't know about this. There are no more Roaches coming either. It's just drones in production.
I've never seen this build lose in a broadcasted tournament match.
Oh my god. Scarlett overestimating her ability to just defend from this position.
So about that false sense of security, because the Terran player ran a bunch of Marines up the ramp.
Okay, well that is the last of the queens that's around right now. The Roaches are coming soon. Oh god, another drone gonna die over here.
F's in the chat, boys.
That hatchery is so low on hit points. Do you try and defend a Scarlett here? Or just go up the ramp? Buy yourself some time.
If you could have 5 Roaches together, you start to get somewhere, but...
Oh, snipes off the low health Marine, snipes off another one.
Yeah, I love the drone focus here, though.
Yeah, this is still being really, really problematic for Scarlett. She's up only one worker at this stage, and she's going to be making a bunch more of these Ravagers. MaSa has already slapped down that factory, slapped down a command center at the low... no, actually, up in the high ground.
If we had to designate a theme for this season of WCS Challenger, it is low health naturals. You know? Or like low health bases. That's what it is.
At least the theme for today, at a minimum.
No, it happened in like 2 other broadcasts.
Okay.
We don't have that many shows. He's going to move the barracks. He doesn't stop using them. He just relocates them.
This is actually pretty next level, but the Ravager is going to find them, actually.
And now he's going to go for double starport Banshees.
Oh, okay.
I love it. 2-port Banshee. You never see it. For many reasons. But considering the low queen count that should be forced by the way that this game happened, and how good Banshees are against Ravagers, well, I won't be saying I like it a lot.
I do have to say also, MaSa is one of my favorite players to watch with his Banshee control. When he has some good old Banshees in large numbers, he's a scary, scary guy.
This might be too many Ravagers. The Cyclone can lock onto one of them, but all the other ones are going to be able to do that.
Would you lock onto the Overlord to shut down the high ground vision? I guess there's no siege tank or anything coming, so what are you shutting it down for?
I don't think it matters, honestly. This is looking really bleak. The Viking will be able to do it regardless. Yeah. That was really, really nice. 3 supply depots here is huge.
Yeah. Bright side is MaSa has lost so much supply that he is not, in fact, supply blocked just yet. But it is
silver linings.
It is a very thin silver lining. First Banshee on the way. Second tech lab for that other starport is also still being produced. There is Hyperflight Rotors, and
why?
What do you mean? You're going 2-port Banshee. Why wouldn't you go for it?
He's broke. He can't even... Nah, I would have wanted to start the 2 Banshees together and get Cloak. I mean, it makes sense that Scarlett would go into a faster than normal lair, but... Scarlett
also just came straight into his main base with a bunch of those Ravagers. She only saw the starport. I guess she didn't see a tech lab on it, but...
I guess waiting for the speed is more important, because you want to... I guess MaSa's plan is to surprise her with 4 Banshees, because I think then he actually sets his sights on the hatchery, the natural, like kill the natural. By the way, 3000 IQ play by Scarlett. The lair, whatever building upgrade into the lair, gains health. So there's now more hit points on it, because she turned her natural into the lair instead of her main.
The downside of that might be that she could just lose her lair to the Banshees.
Yes, the lair is not at full health, so that is a problem. And
that would prevent additional Overseers from being morphed, as well as just general tech later on. But for now, she does already have an Overseer out. Now, whether or not she just decides to use that Overseer to move across the map and scout is a whole other story, because there it is, that Overseer heading across the map for the scout. And there was a Cyclone out that could pick that off.
What a weird game. Those depots, by the way, this next Banshee, we're only building 1, because good Sir MaSa is supply block-arenoed.
That's going to be a little bit tough, but...
So here are the Banshees.
Still being made.
There are Ravagers. I mean, if you get the Queen, then...
yeah, get the Queen and the... Oh, barely misses the kill on that Queen, thanks to the regeneration.
Yeah, it's a weird game.
What did you
Scarlett
expect
is-
normal games from this series?
No, I did not. The last time we had Scarlett versus MaSa, it was the same thing. It was just like cheese fest and weird games.
Yeah. Interestingly, Scarlett's just throwing down more sport callers, not really opting to make any more overseers. No, actually, did she just finish? Yeah, she just finished. No, she pulled it back.
Hey, Fear Dragon, did you know the official lore explanation for Hyperflight Rotors is that they add an 11 to the knob on Banshee speed? That's it. They just let it turn up to 11. How crazy is that? From 10.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's in the official lore.
Yep. That's all they had to do was just add the knob. It's like when you get a stereo that goes to 11, it's just louder than all the other ones.
I mean, that's how math works.
Yeah.
11 is definitely always greater than 10.
It's a much larger number. Spire's about to finish, and these Banshees, they will end their shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's a weird game because you have sold some weird stuff, but the Overseer did see that there were a bunch of barracks in the main. And this is not going to be a mech game. We have Marines and Banshees being built.
But MaSa is still making more Banshees. That is the funky, interesting part. Has one more Banshee on the way. I really want to know, when does he stop Banshee production? If he stops Banshee production?
He stops Banshee production now. You let these finish.
And you swap your tech labs.
You build reactors. You could keep one starport on a tech lab and start a fusion core. I'd really like to see that, like a quick lib range, since you have 2 ports already. You don't necessarily need to do that, of course, but...
Now, the nice thing here is that even with the mutas out, the speed Banshees are faster than the Overseers, so they can try and outrun the Overseer and then cloak to dodge out of the way of the mutas.
Yeah, difficult to execute, but that's why like that one Banshee kind of like baited a little. MaSa knows what he wants.
Oh, yeah. Overseer's
it
over here, though.
I'd take the Ravagers over. Yeah, take the Ravagers instead. Those are very expensive.
One Banshee does go down. Might try and get a couple of drones over here, ignoring the Spore Caller for a moment.
Speed Banshees were really cool, but I think any Speed Banshee build needs to be designed. Like, I don't think you should do it against a player
He's
like
diving
Scarlett.
back into that natural.
I
That's
think
what Lair is.
I think Scarlett likes her mutas and her defensive play like so much. Like, I don't know. The Banshees always make me nervous when I see them against Sasha.
Oof. Yeah, and that's most of the Banshees dead right there.
Like she will build mutas when other players won't, and that makes me not want to build Banshees against her. Battle cruisers are great for that reason, but you know, I'm gonna say they're always great. So my opinion no longer really matters in that scenario.
A lot more Lings on the way here for Scarlett. She is going to continue to pump out more and more of a ground force because she's mostly just got the mutas to deflect a lot of those the Banshees, and it's going to be useful for deflecting a lot of the medevac drops. But MaSa is finally moving out with some of those medevacs. Unfortunately, he's moving in the direction that the Banshees are just drawing all the mutas.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
That was almost extreme. Is that Banshee just going to draw all the mutas away from the medevacs? That's actually kind of amazing. Is he going to try and intercept the mutas on the retreat? Oh, no, Scarlett notices.
Yep, she saw it with the tower. And
this is a hard retreat path because the mutas are here as soon as you pick up in the medevacs, and all of the Lings are easily going to outnumber these Marines.
yep, so goodbye Marines, goodbye. And then the medevacs are of course still under insane pressure. I was going to ask if Oisim Sauce could show us Scarlett's vision, because it is terrifying. She can see so much of the map. It is disgusting. She actually has vision over half of the map. The entirety of her half of the map. And of course, with the harass units, she can see the other side too. It's not just the creep spread, but the overlords, the Lings on the towers. She is so proactive right now. Yeah.
You were talking about a 1 to 10 scale for, you know, how good things can be. I kind of want to add a 0 to that right now because MaSa's not looking so good right now. This is a really tough spot. He doesn't have, because of the map vision, he doesn't have a viable way of putting good, consistent pressure on. Although, as I say that, Scarlett is attacking, but she is also getting attacked over in her third base. But I don't know if it's going to matter.
She doesn't care. She focuses down the siege tank.
Oh, never mind.
It's just Banshees. Banshees suck. And then the rest of these units are all going to just kill everything. GG. Scarlett does it. Takes the first map. This is the best of 5, of course, so she will have to win 2 more maps. But she looked very good there.
Yeah.
And MaSa had a lot of things going for him with that early attack. It sounds cool. There's always the risk that you run. First of all, you can get drone kills because the Zerg player, normally, you know what I mean, there's lots of Zerg that will go Lings, and then you go up the ramp and you die because Lings just kill you. Now in this case, you go for roaches. The Marines come up the ramp, roaches aren't ready yet, you can get some drone kills. But the SCVs didn't really help against that handful of lings either. They kind of stood there and died. And because of that, you don't have the repair that you would want to have on the bunker on the low ground. And everything just really adds up to, yes, you killed some drones, but remember, Terran player also with 3 racks. This wasn't 2 racks. He was very committed with that. So even though he transitioned out, so you could say, you know, this. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm gonna make a great example. This is one of my favorite things to talk about in StarCraft because people love using the words "all in." All intents and purposes, that type of play is super all in by Terran. You're putting everything out on the field. You're hoping to get a quick win. There is no planned transition for a 3-rax Marine. You want to kill the Zerg there, or at best, kill the natural and then audible, right?
Yeah.
But in this scenario, he is only able to make that transition out because of how much damage he did, where it justified the investment to the point where that's why he don't just leave, even though he didn't get the natural kill. So it was one of those really weird games for that reason alone. And I expect to see more of that out of MaSa. Although staying and killing the natural is really nice, in my opinion. He might have thought he would win the game if he went up that ramp, which is a super huge gamble.
Okay, we're moving into game number 2. Map is going to be New Repugnancy. Scarlett sitting up 1-0 now. She does still need 2 more wins, but MaSa is sending out another SCV. Here's the funny thing. MaSa and Scarlett have both been in Korea for a while. MaSa and Scarlett have both been up all night. And as I double check my phone to see exactly what time it is in Korea, I just want to note, they're both really, really tired, and it's 8:30 in the morning. They have been up all of yesterday and all of last night. So I think they're ready for a shorter series, Nate.
Yeah. Scarlett, like some sort of crazy human being, talked about following other. She was watching some other esport event or something like that. Mind-boggling to consider.
Must have been the World of Warcraft event.
Yeah, must have, honestly. Or it could have been, there was some Chinese StarCraft show match last night, actually. I remember. 7 hours after this post, and WCS was 14 hours after it. That's in the title of the thread over it. But unsurprisingly, Reapers on this map are a phenomenal choice because you have the big old cliff, but it's only 2 racks Reaper. MaSa, probably infamous for 3. He might still start a 3rd racks. I'm not. Yeah,
you can start the 3rd racks with the SCV from the first barracks, right?
Yep, or they build it at home. Both are fine. He's gonna open with a Marine first.
Oh, Overlord spots out that SCV.
It's a Marine.
Oh,
so he's just looking to do
this is transition.
So this is the transitional version of the build he did in game 1. So the whole point of this is the Marines put on pressure, you want to force a response, and then you just build the factory real quick back home and you get your follow-up going. Or we've also seen, even in Europe Challenger yesterday, you build Marines to start, you situate the bunker, and then you go into Reapers. You can still get a factory at home, of course, but...
Okay, well, second bunker is going up in range of that hatchery, and part of the whole, I guess, like this getting scouted a bit earlier on in some ways can work out for MaSa, because Scarlett, so far, maybe in about 20 or 30 seconds, she'll realize, there's not as many Marines as a 3 racks play. She may still think this is a 3 racks, though, for just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
it might end up overreacting.
She did not scout the barracks, so...
Queen takes a bit of damage there. Not the end of the world, but the Marines are not going to continue chasing up that ramp. They really want to save those.
Kill the hatch this time. That would be a good play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, normally Zerg player wants like Ravagers or something to try and break the bunkers. It's going to take more time to get out Ravagers.
They are on their way, though, but yeah. Yep, and keep the SCVs. The 2 SCVs is like the sweet spot. I mean, 3 is really, really safe, but like having 2 SCVs.
That hatchery's dead. Yeah, no save it. You just right-click it down at this point.
Yeah, and now if you want to yeet your Marines up the ramp while you build a tank or cyclone at home, you can do that. But the best move generally is to just try and do some fancy footwork micro and just stall the Zerg. On one base, Zerg is the worst race.
Tries to snipe off the Overlord. It forces out a transfuse on that as well, which is going to be annoying because Scarlett would have loved to have saved that for, say, a Ravager or a Roach that takes more damage while trying to bust out of the bunkers. But now Scarlett has a couple of those Ravagers out. She should eventually be able to knock down that bunker, but it's still very, very annoying. MaSa, of course, like you said, is transitioning behind this as well.
It's not about the bunker killing anything anymore. It's about delaying that hatch. Now that the hatch has started, I mean, these Ravagers are going to come throw biles, but honestly, I'd unload the... Yeah, there you go, just run.
Salvage.
Run home, little Marines. Of course, Ravagers move faster than Marines, so I think sending them to the corner of the map, though, is the best move, because the Ravagers are not headed towards your base. So there's that, which is nice.
Gets a bit of extra damage done on the Ravagers, but those Ravagers are just going to be chilling. They're not looking to move across the map right now, as Scarlett is just focusing on getting her creep spread up, getting her natural expansion set up, and is expecting that MaSa has some other units coming out on the other side of the map. But MaSa is actually just building the tech lab on that factory, immediately swapping it off, starting up his reactor, and I was going to guess that he was going to send one of those barracks to the tech lab, but maybe he has something else in store for it.
Yeah, good question. Why would he not? Maybe those...
He's going to start up another starport?
No, those racks were queued. The racks were queued. The racks were queued to fly home and land. The racks were queued to fly home and land. He didn't actually plan anything for them yet. Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
He's... I figured as soon as he actually looked at his base, he would move it to the tech lab. He probably told them to land forever ago, and that's why they didn't land on the tech lab, because it didn't exist yet.
Makes sense.
Lair is on the way. If you are a Zerg player and the game has started off weird, get a fast Lair. I love it. Fast Lairs are all the rage these days because people like to build battle cruisers, and, well, frankly speaking, the later your lair, the more awkward it is to deal with them, unless you are one of the 4 Zergs on NA who like to build 1,000 queens, and those are actually not enough, so I like the fast lair play. And with roaches, could also see some fast speed. World is Scarlett's oyster.
It is worth noting that this game has definitely gone a lot better for MaSa than the last one in terms of the opening. Sniping off the hatchery, not really losing too many of the Marines that he invested earlier on, and also just not having invested a 3rd barracks means that he didn't have to get as much damage done. So any additional damage he gets with these Banshees is just going to be a bit of a boon.
Spores have the sickest detection range. I'm convinced that I feel like they have the same detection range as a missile turret, but when I see Spores and Queens, the synergy is always just so...
Because they both have such good range.
Because they both have such good range.
Overseer is here, so one of those Banshees is going to fall prey to the damage of those Queens. Second Banshee, well, still alive, no longer one-shots the workers, so it's a little bit hard to get that damage done. Might just dive back in later, but the Spire is on the way for Scarlett. Mutas should be coming out eventually. And that is the 3rd CC, correct? Yeah, 3rd CC finish up here for MaSa.
Yep. Well, there is no move for a Terran after choosing other than 3 CC, though. Like, that's, yeah, definitely a good play. Definitely the right call. Spire coming in. Baneling Nest is a little bit late, but it doesn't really matter. Stim is done. Combat Shield's on the way. First 2 medevacs are still just about to come out. So... there should be Banelings by the time a drop gets there, unless he goes straight across and stims, but even then I think it's going to be cutting a little bit close for Scarlett.
Scarlett is actually poached really far forward with a lot of these Roaches and Ravagers. Now the Ling is going to spot out all these units, but she doesn't see the 2 siege tanks inside of the medevac. So this might just look like kind of normal, small Marine pressure moving across the map. And actually, MaSa's even going to maybe catch a Ravager over here with the Banshee. Queens are eventually making their way over. Ooh, Queen's actually coming in from a bit of a weird angle. There's not actually creep over there. Snipes off 1, snipes off a 2nd. And gets out of there. Siege tank sieged up on creep. The Lings are looking for a wraparound. The Ravagers are going to be the first units to find them. Both siege tanks go down to those corrosive biles. The Marines are just going to try and target fire down individual Ravagers. But the Lings come forward and MaSa's going to get out of there. Got a bit of damage done. Lost 2 siege tanks. How do you feel about that one?
Nah, not super great. The tanks were really important there. MaSa likes to do a lot of fancy plays that, like, leave him at risk. Up, 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 up.
Ooh.
What?
I don't even know which one of those corrosive biles were actually in range of that Banshee. That caught me by surprise.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't have hit it. I'm just like, you shouldn't lose your Banshee to corrosive bile. But then again, Banshees, not important units, especially when you're trying to micro your bio. So honestly, that Banshee was probably only getting commands off of like F2 or something. Great contaminate on the factory. So the bio's going to run up once again.
2 Ravagers sniped off for not too many Marines, but now the Mutas are out. And he scouts it. Ooh, I like that Scarlett's already sending those links so far ahead of the medevacs, ready to intercept any attempts to drop them.
Also looking for reinforcements.
Oh, oof. Yeah, the full medevac is the one that ends up going down, so not too many Marines are actually saved over here. Lings are starting to overrun MaSa a bit, especially with the Ravagers supporting and even a few mutas here. MaSa has to be careful.
There is a drop hitting in the main base at this time, however. Queens and drones on the run. Swarcaller gets a pot shot off, but Scarlett, when you gotta defend against this, this is quite tricky. Everything is coming home.
Yeah, Baneling does get target fire down, but there are a few more. Snipes off one more, but medevac goes down to the mutas.
The Mutt's doing the work.
But it was still about MaSa being able to pull Scarlett all the way back
That
home.
was huge, though, yeah, because I think Scarlett, if that drop isn't there, there's potential for, you know, a kill move.
Yeah, or at least getting a ton of damage done at that third base, but MaSa able to push things back, snipes off an active creep tumor by the third base, just trying to keep that creep low because he knows that is going to be where he needs to eventually make his big push in.
Yarp. MaSa's armory pretty late, so Scarlett will be able to get her 2-2 going fairly good time.
Yeah, even the Mutt's going to be getting up there +1 weapon upgrade, so this Mulus is going to have a little bit more effectiveness against not just the Marines and stuff, which they don't usually want to fight directly, but sniping off medevacs and everything, it helps out.
She's looking for a drop, but there is one in the corner. It's just a little bit outside of where you're looking, Scarlett. These Marines and tanks want to move out, and Scarlett says, all right, I'm going to try and get some work done. Right-click on an SCV or 2 or 3. Those eBays are a little exposed, but doesn't want to fight against the Mariners. Look at that.
Mutas.
Turns around with all but the weak Muta and perfectly micros away the next one that got weakened. Really well done.
Might want those mutas back at home soon, but still has a little bit of creep to work with. The Marines trying to stem forward.
And the lack of creep here is actually devastating.
I have to say, MaSa's done a great job of denying it on this front because he kept coming in with small little drops or even just the Banshee, sniping off those active creep tumors. Siege does get sniped off. A second Siege in the front line gets sniped off, and that's the last one.
Well,
MaSa's going to get out of there, but loses a lot in the process.
Drop in the main. Spawning pool under fire.
Okay, that's not a terrible pickup.
No, not at all. Dealing with nice. Scarlett already started rebuilding it, so. And then Lings come from behind, Baneling set in the front, and everything lifts up. And the Mutalisks will probably make their way over there.
Ooh, has this round 2 coming in on the top side, and now that snipe off of the spawning. Ooh, close. Well, it softens it up for the Mutalist to finish off, but this is the big 1-2 punch where now MaSa comes in, snipes off the 4th base easily. There's still not a lot of creep here.
It's the 5th now. Scarlett, Scarlett does have 4 bases. Her economy is still okay. The fact that she's taken multiple fights off creep really just says a lot about the position that she's in, which I think is quite good. But
2-2's about to finish for her, though, and that is going to make it a lot harder for MaSa to stick around here for too much longer.
Yeah, his 2-2 is not too far behind, but it is going to be a little bit later. And if Scarlett attacks with that window that she'll have, that would be the most opportune time to make such a play.
Yeah, she clicks on those Marines, she'll know. There are a few more Marines being rallied in the center of the map, but they actually get picked off by some of the Lings and Banelings. Scarlett making sure no reinforcements show up, but these Marines finding little bits of drone damage and then pulling back to the safety of the siege tank. Scarlett has had enough. She dives on in, and she has more than enough to overwhelm this force.
Yep, and the medevacs going down are going to be devastating for MaSa. He does have a drop in the bottom. He's done a really good job with the counterattacks, but there's a lot being lost here. Now, the most important moment is, actually really good drone pickups, but the 4th base being situated for MaSa. He wants to continue to apply pressure while he takes this 4th. If he gets away with that, that's going to be huge for him.
3-3 already getting started up immediately there for Scarlett, trying to maintain a bit of an upgrade advantage, but MaSa's also evened up on 2-2. I'd love to see him start up 3-3, but I guess he's a bit busy with this whole force in the center of the map.
An ambitious sensor tower.
Yeah, not really going to pan out there, but these Banelings looking for connections on these Marines. They do eventually get picked off, and I think when the Banelings are gone...
There's a Big Daddy Thor.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Thor plus the remaining Marines are going to make it difficult to get too much more done.
It could be nice to have Ling reinforcements, but it's hard to do that when the Zerglings have to defend drops in your base.
MaSa finally finds the resources to start up a +3 weapons upgrade. Love to also see the armor when he gets a chance. Things are finally starting to calm down, and for once, there is actually not aggression happening from either player for at least 20 seconds. Ooh, that is a cool Thor skin.
I want that.
It's like the back
Please
of it.
whitelist
Yes.
my account.
Oh my god, thank you for showing off those guns.
Please. I need it.
That looks so sick. I love the little red streaks on the gun.
There's an Athenius in there.
There's a little Nate in there.
Yeah.
Greater Spire is about to finish up, by the way. And that might end up being a pretty big moment, just since Corruptors are already finishing up right when the Greater Spire finishes. And there are, I mean, yes, there's the Thor there, but there's 3 Thors? I don't see a 4th or anything on the way.
Thors are pretty amazing versus Broodlords. They provide a solid anchor. It really just comes down to the Marines supporting them.
If you are up against, say, like 7-8 Broodlords, how many Thors do you need to deal with? Oh, hold that thought.
4.
4? Okay. A little bit lower than I thought then.
It depends. There's a bunch of variables that play into it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
because MaSa didn't play mech, and this drops are so good. Because he didn't play mech, he has no armor upgrades. So Broodlings only do 4 damage normally. With +3, it's going to be 7. Thors have 1 armor by default. So with no armor upgrades, it's 6 damage per hit. Versus if he had full armor upgrades, in which case you'd have, you know, only 3 damage per hit, which is a significant difference.
3-3, getting closer and closer to finishing there for Scarlett specifically. MaSa's going to have his weapon upgrade soon, but still lacking in those armor upgrades for a while. So this is an opportunity moment for Scarlett as she does snipe off, it looks like, a building command center there. Dives down to the south side of the map with the Mutalisk, maybe looking for any medevacs that she can snipe off.
Yeah, she certainly can't engage the army with the Mutalisks, not with 3 Thors in tow. But the real big kicker is going to be the Banelings, because if the Marines can survive to cover for the Thors at all, that's going to be massive.
Yeah, Mutalisk's having a hard time, but they are going to now be supported by all of these Lings and all of these Banelings that are sitting on those 3-3 upgrades. Seconds before +3 weapons finishes for MaSa, he loses a large chunk of his army, but gets a good chunk of the Mutalisks.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, you need to have a battlecruiser transition or something in play. You need to have a really big tech switch happening, but he never even got drilling claws, did he? There's still so many Zerglings. Like, Marines aren't going to be enough. Like, Marine Marauder won't be able to beat this with the support of the Broodlords. Like, he could just he could just die to a bunch of Banelings running straight through his army.
I mean, the Broodlords are such a big problem right now. Even that one Thor on the right-hand side, sitting so low on hit points, it's going to go down. The other Thor is going to be soon to follow. And like you said, those Banelings going to cause a lot of problems for that Bioforce. So MaSa is forced to pick up and run, but there is nowhere to run to, Nate, because guess what? Scarlett's at your front door.
Yep. Now MaSa has been overwhelmed, as they say, overwhelmed. And the natural slings in there, Broodlords are out, and as soon as you start building Vikings versus Zerg, you know that you're dead. So it is time to tap out.
GG. Scarlett going up 2-0 in this best-of-5 semifinals. Is now 1 game away from locking it down, going to the grand finals, and saying, MaSa, the curse is over. Not losing to you anymore.
That's true. And then he would go up to play against Neeb, where he would then cheese Neeb every single game.
Yeah, if MaSa was able to turn this around. Yeah.
That's what always happens. MaSa, it's almost like every challenger. I remember last year, it was just MaSa would play Scarlett, he would cheese her every game, he would win, and then he would cheese Neeb every game in the finals.
Yeah.
Somehow the games end up going really long and being great, but
fun
there
games.
You have it.
Well, I think you have to have a special liking for games that just get a little bit wonky and cheesy to appreciate fully the MaSa experience.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Regardless, though, MaSa now sitting down 0-2. This is normally where you say, okay, if this is a normal series, you kind of say, like, MaSa, maybe throw out a cheese or something. He's already been cheesing. You just cheese, and the MaSa thing is you just cheese it
first or something.
A command center first, yeah. I mean, I have to say, MaSa, I think, is he's not always successful with it, but I think he is one of the players that puts a ton of thought into how the series is played, not just how individual games are played.
Does he, though?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm not convinced.
You sound doubtful.
I'm not convinced that there's going to be a huge adjustment from him.
No. I don't think in that sense, but he thinks about it in the sense of, for example, easy example is you have the 3 racks in the first game, and then you go for the 2 racks. The way that he did the 3 racks and everything was trying to hide the 3rd barracks as well, and then it makes it feel more aggressive in the second game, so you maybe overcommit to the defense?
I think MaSa has a magic 8-ball that he just shakes, and it says 2 Rex, and he's like, okay. And
is that how you decide your 3 builds now?
Again, he's like, 2 Port Banshee, okay. That's it.
I know you mentioned you have 3 builds now. Is that how you decide one of your 3 builds to do?
No. My builds are battle cruisers, fake battle cruisers, and build designed to beat people who are blind countering battle cruisers.
But how do you decide which one to do?
Based on opponent. Yeah.
So you think about it.
It's kind of a binary choice based on, unless it's like a barcode that I don't know who they are.
How do you have a binary choice with 3 options?
Okay, we'll go Boolean then. It's like a thread. Okay.
A trinary choice?
It's an if-then-else statement.
If-then-else.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, there's a supply depot at home. Waiting to see what gets. Nothing else moving out, so.
Yeah. The first time I play you, I build BCs. The second time I play you, I fake BCs. The third time I play you, I gamify my strategy against whatever you did against my fake BC build, because you probably expected it and adjusted accordingly. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
Yeah. Well, I do like this. I mean, you kind of see the impact. MaSa has gone for these proxies in the last 2 games, and he is absolutely 150% the kind of player who would proxy 5 games in a best of 5. So Scarlett respects that.
He has done it before against Scarlett.
And Scarlett says, okay, I'm going to go pool first, and then she's going to discover, oh, actually, MaSa didn't go for the proxy. And we'll see if MaSa actually, even if he ends up going for that Reaper, just leaves the Reaper at home or something, prepared for a pool first, and kind of says, gotcha, Scarlett. Made you overcommit.
Got him.
Yeah. That's the MaSa experience.
That is the MaSa experience. All right, just going to do a traditional old Reaper expand. It's about as standard as you can get. It's a standard issue StarCraft
Not from
build.
Scarlett, though. That is a very fast Roach Warren.
Ling Ravager all in. Yeet.
Have you changed your mind about the Ling Ravager all-in? Because I know you weren't a fan of it for a very long time.
No, that's not the build.
Oh, you weren't a fan of the
1 base double gas 3 Ravager.
Gotcha.
That is the worst build in StarCraft, period. And if you do it, you are bad.
Okay. The Lings do come out very quickly, and the funny thing here is that the SCV was actually retreating home because he says, I got the scouting information I needed. Little does MaSa know that as that Reaper also stays at home, he is not going to see that Roach Warren because he pulled the SCV back for such a long time. And now Scarlett has even got the Lings on this side of the map. Might be able to deny the scout from the SCV. Oh, that is a tough loss of information for MaSa.
See, this is a version of that type of Ravager rush where you can at least drone up a natural while it's happening, whereas the 1 base version, you're on 1 base. So your real only option is to just build more roaches, and then if it doesn't work, you just lose. But this at least gives you some utility, and oh my god. When I see a Reaper get hit by Zerglings.
Yeah, the thing about MaSa's situation is that you don't really have a lot of units, so if you lose that Reaper, as he does see the roaches now, you don't really have a whole lot behind it. He's got 2 Marines, and he's building all of his add-ons behind this, but there are only 3 roaches coming out. This is not actually a massive, massive commitment from Scarlett.
Yeah, but he started the starport, so he doesn't have enough gas to be able to tank out of that factory, which means the contain is not over yet. Marauder's a cute choice, but Marauders don't do bonus damage to Ravagers, so this, and it also delays the siege tank that he actually needs. So this is really nice. I love this. Smite the depot, drop the biles on the racks, kill it. This reminds me of the proxy Marauder in the TvT earlier today. This is exactly what you want to do. Pick off the depots from the low ground. The nice thing about the Marauder in this situation is that it does have more range, so you can't bully it the same way that you would bully a Marine.
Yeah.
Marauders can stand up for themselves. And wow, ooh, okay, I think this is a bit miscontrolled there. She really wanted to get the Marauder there, and she was very close to doing so, but you have to remember that there are other units in that bunker.
Did buy a lot of time also for that supply depot to get repaired back up to a lot more hit points, so keeps it alive. Fusion core on the way. Well, Nate, you did
Daddy
say
likes
always battle cruisers, good unit.
Yeah, man. ABC, always be cruising. Okay?
A normal
just
person
easy
would
as
guess
ABC.
always build cruisers, but you know,
Always be cruising.
always be cruising.
Because the types of people who build battle cruisers don't stress. You're riding with the top down, your batteries are shooting themselves, you don't even have to stop, man. Come on. That's the dream. That's the dream. But really, the best call was that he canceled the siege tank and then started the fusion core. So he's very aware that Scarlett's not committing to a big attack, which is nice. And that also is the reason why you build the fusion core, because BC rushes do have a specific weak point where you are basically the stomach of a Pillsbury Doughboy, and it's very easy to make you collapse while that battlecruiser is in production. But since that's not what's going to happen this game, MaSa can safely and comfortably go up there. Now he is going to do the meet me halfway style of it. If you're going to go bio out of this, I'm going to throw something at you. If you're going to go bio out of this, out of a BC rush like this, and you don't want to get Yamato, get Liberator range while the BC builds. Think about it. 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 Or get the medevac boost upgrade. Seriously, one day it's going to happen.
While the BC, while the BC builds, you get the Liberator range?
As the seer of StarCraft, of Terran meta, as the guy who knows everything that's going to happen within the next 6 months.
Okay, I believe you.
At some point, these BC rush builds will evolve to where players will get either the medevac boost with it, or Liberator range. Because if you don't scout the fusion core and you only see the edge of the base as well, it makes the build look like it's Banshees.
Ah, I see. So you're getting it, but you're canceling it.
You don't have to cancel it, though. Those upgrades are both very useful. The medevac one, the medevac one doesn't seem useful, but it researches really fast, so you can get it. You can make better use of that tech lab starport if you want. The medevac upgrade seems dumb until you have it for no reason, and then you're like, oh my god, this is actually quite useful.
Well, Battlecruiser manages to kill 3 of those drones, and the Queens are able to eventually force that Battlecruiser back.
I'm just saying I don't think that a Battlecruiser rush actually gives you much value at all if you go bio out of it, so I think getting an upgrade with that early before you go into making medevacs is
just taking advantage of the tech lab.
I think taking advantage of that tech lab in a different way when you're playing bio is much better. But Scarlett is going to go for a massive all-in to try and kill the Battlecruiser player, and this is actually a fairly typical response that you'll see. However, that Carapace timing is going to make the roaches really hard to kill, but there's no roach speed, so that helps. However, the Marines do have stim.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen this have a little bit of trouble with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but repairing the Battlecruiser can be a little bit problem. I mean, them just repairing, the SCVs repairing against Queen DPS, if you can deal with the ground force, has been a little bit problematic. We'll see if Scarlett can deal with that.
The problem is the Terrans usually don't focus on microing the BCs when they play bio after it, so.
Oof. Siege tank goes down very early on. MaSa just does not have many units anymore.
Too many Ravagers. Now MaSa's super dead here.
Oh, is he going to lose all of his supply depots?
There's zero. I'm going to give him a 0% chance of winning this game right now.
Okay. All the supply depots have pretty much gone down, so not a lot of units coming out after that round of production in the production tab. Ravages are starting to go down. The Battlecruiser is doing some good damage from the right-hand side.
If it's a 1-1, that'll be nice. He's still going to lose way too many SCVs. And Battlecruiser is not it did teleport home, I think. So
are there any transfuses left over? I don't think so.
There's going to be one available
maybe one,
soon.
yeah. Viking is just going to run straight over these units and get picked off. Battlecruiser has been repaired up by a lot of SCVs, but those SCVs have been dying in the process. A few more Marauders going to be coming out, but Scarlett is also rallying forward more Roaches.
So the real thing that happened in this game is when you do a Battlecruiser rush, everything that comes after is obviously delayed, right? If you had just gone for a Viking after that opening straight into bio, you would have had way more Marines and Marauders, and you would have probably had combat shields done already, or at least early on. But combat shields is done now. But my point is, you would have had enough to actually fight against this probably, maybe a faster +1 attack. So the BC didn't end up doing anything, so you basically just made yourself really vulnerable to a timing that hits, because even though you have that faster stem upgrade, and even though, yes, he got the barracks up, he took a lot of damage because he just didn't have as many Marines as he would have had he not Battlecruiser rushed. It does look like MaSa will probably be able to hold a good amount of this off because the tank's on the high ground, and he got 1-1.
He's going to clean up all of these Roaches.
He's going to clean up all the Roaches, but I don't think Scarlett has to tap out. She might tap out, but she doesn't have to. She's got a huge economic lead. She just needs to build up a bunch to defend. However, it is going to be Roaches that don't have speed yet trying to stop 1-1 bio.
0% chance?
I think Scarlett.
I'm joking.
Looking at how this series has gone, I think Scarlett wins from this position. Yes.
Okay.
But I've been wrong before, so
All good.
I would rather commit to something than not.
Yeah, that's a good way to play StarCraft too. You don't want to play two in the middle of the road.
Yeah. I just see this happen too often. Also, weirdly enough, did he lose both? Yeah, he lost both E-bays. Okay, so he has to rebuild the engineering bays, so he doesn't get to take advantage of any upgrade timings.
And you can see he's still actually like just getting over more supply blocks and everything because he lost 7 or so depots at the front. That definitely hurt. Battlecruiser does teleport in. It's got all of its hit points back. And remember, he killed a lot of queens, but Scarlett has been busy making more queens, so she's back up to 8.
This Battlecruiser is kind of bad now at killing the queens too because they have the Carapace upgrade. BC does not have any upgrades. But BC has done some great work though, I'm going to say. I thought the Battlecruiser was going to die to those queens on the defense, but MaSa held pretty darn well.
Yeah,
this is one of those cases where I'm glad to be wrong because a 3-0 here would be a shame.
It certainly would be a little bit anticlimactic given how good of a matchup MaSa was for a long time versus Scarlett.
There was no Baneling nest and barely any upgrades. I did definitely think that there was an opportunity for a real counterattack. I guess MaSa didn't, which is a shame because now everything is going to come together and I'm leaning more towards Scarlett again now that the window for MaSa to attack before things like Bane speed is gone.
Battlecruiser is sitting very low on hit points. He's keeping it around. The tactical jumps off cooldown. Okay, that was going to say.
Thank you. I like MaSa because of all the players that I watch build Battlecruisers. He throws them away the least.
MaSa just in general is the player that I think actually is good about repairing and keeping units alive and just general retention. Always appreciated that. Hive Tech is on the way though. Scarlett not only has her Bane speed about to finish, but when she gets up that Hive Tech, it's going to cause all sorts of problems for MaSa and put a lot more timers that you were talking about on MaSa to get something done. Ooh, nice picking off of a lot of these Banelings and picks up at the perfect time. Doesn't end up really losing too many units there.
It's definitely nice that there's no Spire this time around. Despite everything that's happened, that's the one thing that's missing here for Scarlett. And she's going to go for Hive, and she could go for... it's so weird that Bane speed finished before Link speed, by the way. That army looks really ugly running around the way that it is. But even Vipers are not going to really be enough with pulls to deal with all of it. So she is going to have to do a huge attack soon if she does not get something to deal with the air units, because MaSa will be able to start to carve an advantage out since she can't kill his medevacs.
Also doing some nice damage up here in the top right-hand side. Right-clicking down the hatchery. Scarlett finally going to push him back as the rest of the army arrives. The Battlecruiser, that one hero Battlecruiser, is still around and still kicking. And
all the queens just chased it for half a second.
It's actually all on the south side. That's where Scarlett's sending half of her army. So she pulls so much away, she loses the hatchery.
Yeah, this was really nice though. That Battlecruiser, I love that. Like, try not to put it in your army hotkey, guys. If you want to keep, like, the utility that it holds for forever is so big. First of all, you could shift click it on the Banes and suicide it if you really don't care. But she's building a second infestation pit. That's funny. But these drops are really doing a ton of damage. That Spire, the lack of that Spire that she's had all series long has definitely made her life more difficult.
And finally the Queens, the one real anti-air that she has, is going to be able to move into position and shut down the drops. Gets both of them, but there's still the attack on the north side that's inching forward toward that other base.
So I think what Sasha wants to do is, I was going to say get infestors, because she built a second infestation pit, which makes me think that she wanted to get infestors, but like maybe couldn't afford them, but thought that not instead of affording them, she just didn't have the tax structure, which, while that doesn't make any sense, just says to me she wanted to build something that required it. So I'm just asking myself, where are the infestors? How are you going to get rid of the medevacs? Maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she's going to parasitic bomb and abduct into the queens. Yeah,
she's got a lot of Banelings rolling on forward. A nice spread out over here from MaSa. The Viper's getting some blinding clouds off as well, even pulling one of those Sea Changs down to the low ground. Ravagers finish it off. MaSa's army is starting to run a little bit thin. That one Battlecruiser in the very far back doesn't have any queens to worry about anymore.
It's going beast mode.
Oh my god, if it just right-clicks down the Viper, I mean, it's a lot of APM to spend, but yeah, getting good damage.
If BC's teleports off cooldown BT dubs, just keep fighting.
Yeah, 2 more queens, not a problem. Even with the Carapace upgrades, it's eventually going to start doing some damage to them.
Yeah, I mean, Battlecruiser does its primary damage against ground, so it's not necessarily terrible even without upgrades. Queens will slowly kill it, but
Teleport out.
Battlecruiser retention, infinite value while your Marines die.
MaSa getting pushed back into a choke point. Oh, the Battlecruiser! Oh, it teleported up north. Unfortunately, that does mean it's going to finally go down around like 30 or so kills, but a lot more bio coming in from the back. MaSa is leading up in supply, taking out some of the few remaining Ravagers. Look at all the medevacs as well.
The Lings do not have +2 attack, is the biggest thing I'm noticing here. Also, I wasn't going to say anything about it, but now that this fight has turned south for Scarlett, about 7 Banelings detonated on 1 siege tank earlier when she abducted it down a cliff.
Yeah. That is a bit unfortunate, and all of those Lings die right before Adrenal Glands finishes, which is just right now. Scarlett in a bit of trouble here. She's trying to establish the bottom center base. If she cannot keep that alive, then keeping her hopes alive in this game is going to be very, very tough. 1 siege tank might be able to shut down a Creep Tumor and one of those Queens. Overlord's not really a problem for Scarlett right now. I think she's dropped a bit too far down in supply to worry about that, but maybe eventually. Look at how many medevacs MaSa has. He's up to 12 medevacs and some parasitic bombs. Scarlett's going to try and deal with that. Good control, though.
When Vipers are your anti-air, this isn't the Legacy of the Void launch where you could just stack parasitic bombs. Yeah, looks like MaSa's going to be able to get on the scoreboard for this game. It's kind of weird. The supply does lie a little bit because there's 26 supply of medevacs, but the lack of the melee upgrades, the Lings have just really not been that impactful versus the Marines.
Finally some Corruptors coming out, but I think it's going to be a little too late to help out too much here. That is a very good parasitic bomb, and the Ultras have been staying alive for quite a bit with +3 weapon or armor, but doesn't matter. MaSa comes out victorious and finally puts one on the board, 1-2.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I said he had a 0% chance.
0% chance. Literally 0% chance. Defying the odds, in fact. MaSa doesn't follow your traditional logic, Nate.
No, I just, honestly, this is the last series I'm casting of the day, and I have such a big ego that I need more FaceTime, so I decided to caster curse myself so that I could be on your television screen just a little bit longer because I love you too.
Amazing. See, the problem was that you thought the dial got turned to 0%, but it was in fact 10%. There was one
recursively went up to 100, like it went just a little bit further past. You know what I mean? And there's no negatives, so it just switched to 100.
Oh yeah, it was an unsigned integer.
Yes, exactly.
Loop back around.
Yes,
it was actually over 0% or over 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They stole that from 98.
That's the only logical explanation here. So now we get ready to move into game number 4. Acropolis.
Scarlett says in the lobby she changed her Overseer hotkeys a couple days ago.
Did I tell you about my masterful plan to try and win a game off of Scarlett?
No.
So I'm going to challenge her to a best of 1, right? I'm going to play Protoss. I have to somehow survive for the first 5.5 minutes of a PvZ, which may sound like it's fairly normal and simple, but that's actually going to be difficult. But if I manage to survive that long, I swap the hotkeys of her Spore Crawler and her Spine Crawler. So she tries to build a Spore to deal with the DTs that I make, and then she goes for the Overseer, but I've swapped the Overseer hotkey with the Drop Overlord hotkey.
Yeah, I'm gonna just tell you what actually happened in this game, and Scarlett said she forgot Roach Speed. She went for a fast lair with that attack and didn't do anything with it, which I was very confused by. But yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. She forgot Roach Speed, and apparently the Overseer thing was she didn't siege it, or it was sieged in the wrong spot, so she couldn't have vision to smite another tank on the high ground. So just a little bit of misplay, which can happen. I mean, you said it. They're playing in Korea. It's pretty late over there, right?
It's pretty early.
Pretty early over there.
People have already gotten to work in Korea for the next day.
People work on Sundays? Got 'em, I know it's Monday over there, right? I know things. Some things.
Some things, yeah. Okay. Scarlett not going to be going for that pool first this game, not worried about the proxy shenanigans, and this time she will be correct about it. MaSa is not looking to do anything of the sort for now.
Yeah. Yep. I want to see. This is a great map for some more mech memes. I would love to see the bio, though, because it worked really well for MaSa in that game. You know, the thing is, and he actually mentioned this in the lobby chat as well, they had quite a conversation before this map started. I'm not making this up. But MaSa was like, that build is really overpowered versus BC builds. And I've played that. That is a very strong response. Like, just building a bunch of Ravagers and just moving like 12 queens across the map is really hard to hold with the BC shenanigans, because generally speaking, the BC can't do too much microing, because if it moves, then it can't really be repaired that effectively, and obviously there's corrosive bile that's going to be coming down, and the Ravager's auto attack will also kill your SCVs. But I like that fake out type of strategy, though, where Scarlett kind of got baited into doing an anti-BC build, and whatever reason why it didn't work gave a huge edge to MaSa.
Well, MaSa still got to take 2 more games, so as much as I want to say shenanigans are not going to win the series, I think that is how MaSa wins series, is with shenanigans.
But
and 3CC, that is a good shenanigan.
Man after my own heart, he goes for a gasless double expand.
Did Scarlett just lose an Overlord? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why you open with Marines. This is one of the best maps for getting the Overlord. The Overlord cannot make it to the free spot by your natural on this map. If you go Marine first from your main ramp, the Overlord cannot reach the free spot if you rally the Marines out. On several maps, it's not possible to take advantage of that, but on this map it is one of the best maps to do it, because it's also a weak map for Reapers. And Zerg doesn't really block that high ground area like other races do, but just generally speaking, because you're already not thinking about Reapers on this map.
Yeah. Pretty hard to block the high ground area when you don't have creep there.
Yes.
Imagine if creep tumors could block the Reapers. You just plant a creep tumor over there.
If creep tumors could wall, StarCraft would be a very different game. The amount of last minute, you guys think like meal drops to wall off are cool? Like someone would have... Do you know what? TLO would leave 10 active tumors in each base, so that if someone tried to run around or do a run by, he would just
you can do that. The building tumor is actually a body blocker. If you have a wall with exactly one spot, you can fully wall it with a building creep tumor.
Well, I guess what I mean then is it would be something like people would probably end up building walls of tumors behind the mineral lines. It'd be really weird. That'd be awkward. They're also free. Yeah. They're also free units, so I don't think giving them any more usefulness is a good idea.
Yeah, you can already do a changeling, so you know.
Yeah, and Scarlett did that the last time we broadcast her, actually.
Yeah, I think she was actually doing it a little bit versus Estrella as well in one of those games.
Yeah, she does it. She does it almost every time. Oh yeah, she played. I just remembered this. I commentated her playing on Friday. She played a best of 5 against Bomber.
Oh yeah.
Bomber bit out of shape. Please double battlecruiser rush. For the love of God, do not go 2 toward Banshee.
My money's
double
Banshee.
Double BC, double BC, double BC. I'm about to double up. Do it.
Is it? Is it though?
Viking fusion core. Yes!
Oh shit!
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Okay, break this build down for me, Nate.
It's overpowered. This build is the best BC build you can do if and only if your opponent does not attack you. Like, the regular BC build has enough leftover stuff because of how long it takes to build a BC. You can get a tank with it, you can get Hellions and whatnot, but because of how greedy the start was, he was able to get to mining the gas faster with full saturation on the base, and it's really nice. This build is very, very bad against any variety of like Ling Ravager, Ling Roach all in, which is just not really something that you see out of pro gamers a lot. I'll tell you what, playing NA ladder, when people see my name in the loading screen, I don't even do double battlecruiser rush anymore because everybody blindly Ling Bane all-ins me, and then I build 2 tanks and I win. But the double BC build is just phenomenal, because even if you go blind Spire against this, it is so easy to trade out. You have to get Yamato with this. MaSa needs to start Yamato. Okay, you don't have to, but it's really freaking good. If this was a faster layer, I would be more concerned. But
there it is.
Yeah, it's just so good because battle cruisers, the one BC that teleports in and pokes some drones, yeah, it's good. Zerg players hate it. Whatever. You know, you learn to play the game and you build more than one sport per base. Like, problem solved. But the double battle cruiser, you can kill so much. They scale exponentially in terms of their efficacy. They are just so powerful. So this turns from 2 BCs, which can actually, you need like 12 queens to deal with. Seriously, you need like 12 queens to deal with 2 BCs. And it turns from that into 4, at which point you cannot defend with queens anymore. You need to have like a ton of Hydras or Corruptors, and that next wave, although of course sometimes, you know, you'll just, yeah, there you go, GG. So nothing was even ready for that, but you see the 2, she saw the 2 and she's like, no, I have nothing for this. The build, it's ridiculous. If you don't specifically prepare or scout that build, it is money in the bank.
And you know, it's pretty tough to scout when you lose your first Overlord to those Marines.
How fascinating.
Wow.
If only there was an upgrade that was recently made even cheaper that the #1 Zerg player in the world researches every single game before he gets Ling Speed.
Should look into that. Either way, it's a tied up series 2-2.
Yeah.
Game 5. All right, MaSa's bringing it back.
Yep.
He didn't really have to fight too hard for that last game, but
he rolled the dice.
Do you see a proxy in our future? He's lost all the proxy games so far.
No, no proxy.
No? Okay.
He did. That's the most absurdly greedy build. I don't even do it that build that greedily. But he went.
What do you usually get instead, or what do you change?
No, I would just get the gas a little bit faster, and like you don't have the 3rd CC that quickly, but depending on how how fast you can take the natural gases, then you're fine. But just imagine, like, you can't have tanks. Getting a bunker early is really hard to do. You can kind of squeeze that out. At most, you can have some Hellions, but every drop of gas needs to go into it, right? It's 750 gas. And if you count the fusion core and the extra starport, it's like over 1,000 gas to pull this build off that you cannot put anywhere else. You can't put that into tanks, can't put it into Reapers or +1. You can kind of edge the Viking in there because you have to wait for you can't start the fusion core until the starport's done. So outside of that, like, you're just extremely vulnerable to literally any attack. Like, anything would kill you in that scenario. If the Zerg does any macro-based build, they are super far behind against that because those 2 battle cruisers will kill half your drones if they right-click on them by the time they even start to move.
Which definitely explains why Scarlett just decided to immediately tap out as soon as she saw them. But, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I want to remind you that while you're watching WCS North American Challenger, there are some wonderful skins available through the War Chest. And in fact, you guys can unlock a lot of these skins, especially the Hydraless Traditional Brood War skin, the Marine skin, as well as the Zealot skin, the later phases, without even purchasing the War Chest. If you want to purchase the War Chest, you can unlock skins as awesome as this, but there are free tiers available as well if you click the Get XP button that's somewhere around here.
Yeah. The cool part about it is there's a free tier to the War Chest this time that you can level up. You get the classic Marine skin. Next phase, I believe, is classic Hydra. And I think the final phase is the classic Zealot. But the best part is this retroactive experience. If you decide at some point, you know what? I've maxed out my free War Chest and I want the other stuff. At that point, you could just buy the War Chest and get all of it immediately.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to start over from scratch if you decided not to buy in at the beginning this time around.
That is definitely one of the best parts, is that if you wait for the next paycheck or something, we got you covered.
And I think you usually go for an extra month, right? After the end of the tournament that it's for. So you'll probably be able to put it on your Christmas list if you really want to. Maybe not December 25th, but they could probably get it for you early December, I think, based on the actual end period. Because usually goes for a month after BlizzCon.
Usually goes for a little bit.
Yeah. I'd have to triple, quadruple check that. But we're here on Tom Cruise 84 for the final map of our second semi-final.
All right. No proxies coming out from MaSa this game. Does Tom Cruise really scream any kind of particular type of styles to you? Because I know you've talked about like good mech maps. You've talked about good maps with battlecruiser stuff. What does Tom Cruise scream to you?
Show me the money.
That's a good cheat code.
Yeah. It is. It's a great one. You know how much it gives you?
1,000? No, 10,000.
How much of which resource?
Minerals.
And
Is it minerals and gas?
minerals and gas. Yeah. There's one that gives you one of each. There's one for each, and then there's
This
one
is
that
Brood
gives
War,
you
by the way, guys. Not for StarCraft 2.
No.
Yeah,
I think the StarCraft one for minerals is like real men drill deep or something. It's a campaign cheat code. It's in the game. It's in the game.
Don't worry. You've gotten away with worse here.
It's in the game. I didn't say
cute.
anything weird, Fear Dragon.
Look at this. He's gonna try and fake out the proxy racks. Or no, is this just actually for this is trying to make it look like there is a proxy racks coming, right?
Yeah,
or no?
it's fake. It's bait. You mean if
Scarlett will see that there's no Marines though, right? And that's a pretty easy reveal.
Yeah, but if she underreacts and like this SCV finishes the bunker, then the Reaper can actually be quite annoying.
Yeah. Actually, the RNG on this SCV is so close.
Well, they made it really easy to click on the SCVs that are building buildings, so
That was my favorite. That was my favorite nerf.
that was the weirdest nerf of all time.
Do you know how many games I would like sit in there? I would literally zoom in my camera and rotate it to try and right click on the SCV sometimes.
So I can't control where my SCV goes either. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe you should play better. Just kidding. Bunker does finish up, and like you were saying, this is very annoying just because now the Lings don't have an easy way of just pushing back the Reaper. The Reaper's just going to be so annoying over here, just poking and prodding every so often. It does regenerate its hit points inside the bunker too.
Yes, it does. So it's nice. It's just like a little bit of annoying pressure because you might be able to force out more than the Zerg wants to build, but I don't even think that really happened. It was a good gut check. I think you're really just hoping that they pull more than one drone to try and stop the bunker, but since, you know, she didn't, I think she is A-okay. Third command center is on the way, so MaSa is doing what all Terrans do best in being greedy. I'd also like to say that a side benefit of that bunker up front, if I want to try to find something that he accomplished with it, drone hasn't gone out to make the third yet, right? And I think that Scarlett's going to want to do that really soon. Okay, it's there. So she went to the other base, the Queen zoned away. But it's not the fastest third base that could have ever been taken, because I know that for a fact since I have played against cats many times.
Yeah, well, nice that she was able to sneak it out there before the Reaper really got pushed too far back, but Roach Hornet gets thrown down relatively quickly.
Slow motion. Hey, look at that. When you get Reaper bounced with a grenade, it moves at normal speed even in the slow zone.
I guess that's actually a way to move through the slow zones faster. Is it though?
Hey, man.
Do all units get jumped up at the exact same speed?
It's weird. It kind of arcs a little, because like sometimes you can knock things over buildings and sometimes you can't. I think it depends a little bit on the position relative to the epicenter of the detonation.
What units move faster when pushed by a Reaper grenade than they actually move? Like a Queen off of creep, I'm sure, actually moves faster with a Reaper grenade.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's probably it, really. So it's going to be a battlecruiser rush, but it's not the double-double. So it's important to note that, because while Scarlett is building up for what looks like is going to be a pretty sizable attack, MaSa can keep building Hellions, which is better than not building anything, because that's what he would do if this was a double BC rush. I'm quite concerned, though, because I think that Scarlett is just going to do a Ling Ravager attack and could very well kill MaSa, since he...
Hellions see it.
This is scary.
Oh, God. And this is the very fun part.
It's the panic Banshee mine. Banshees and Widow mines are being made because he realizes that he does not have time to build a battlecruiser.
Yep.
And even though those Hellions don't seem like they're important because the Ravagers, those Zerglings are going to kill everything once the Ravagers get rid of the Hellions.
Yeah, and I like the full evacuation of the natural. It doesn't even let that last SCV in because, you know, if any of these Lings just get straight through that supply depot, it's going to be problematic. Good to buy a bit of time on that high ground, repair up that supply depot. There is one of those Widow mines that goes off, but the Widow mine actually gets picked up alongside the supply depot. Now the Roaches are in, the bunkers are not finished.
Sasha decides to finally punish this greedy buy and does a ton of damage. Now the Ravagers are kind of surrounded. Widow mines are going to be able to detonate on them, which is great, but I remind you, the Hellions are dead. So Zerglings are once again relevant, and...
To put this in another context, there are literally only 2 attacking units out for MaSa right now. Make that one. The Ravager kills the Viking.
Would you say this is a 0% chance?
I would actually give this a 1% chance.
1% chance.
1%.
Cool.
Because you know what? It's a Terran
with 3 orbital commands.
Does he have 3 orbitals?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay, yes. I couldn't find the 3rd.
Did he let the natural die?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was trying to find where the 3rd was. There, it's there.
Floating,
I'm looking at
floating north of the gas.
Ah, yeah, okay.
It's floating north of the gas.
Yeah, I give this a 1% chance because I have seen bigger comebacks in StarCraft before. It's just very unlikely.
I haven't seen a fight this one-sided since the News 4 team tried to fist fight a bunch of bears at the San Diego Zoo, okay?
Did that really happen?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Wow. Thank you for this enlightening story. I'm going to Google this later.
It's fast.
I believe you.
That orbital command is going to land on the tech lab, which, as we know,
oh my god,
enables it to drop nukes. It looks just like the nuke silo from Brood War, if you think about it.
That'd be, you know what? I would be on board with that. I would be on board with having tech labs on command centers.
I did have a conversation about reactored engineering bays with someone before.
But here's the thing. If you are in the wrong spawn position, then that tech lab would be blocking the mining of your gas geyser a little bit.
So
slow things down.
That's
worth it?
That's not the worst RNG Terran deals with at the moment, so yeah. This still turns into a battlecruiser game. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's only at 1/3 the supply of Scarlett, so you know there's a chance. Because it could have been 1/4, you know. 1/4 is worse.
There is a 1% chance here.
See, and that's the important thing.
Building a second starport, doubling down. Now you need to get tanks and marines behind this BC. Slow the game down. Nothing slows the game down more than tanks. Battlecruiser takes so long to build. Scarlett is going to just... Scarlett could throw this if she just built mutas, then there's a chance for her to throw. If she goes Corruptor, she just A-moves the BC and then Caustic sprays the command center. Okay, mutas, so she wants there to be a little bit of fun in this game still. She doesn't want to guarantee she'll win this easily, although she could still very well do that.
If the mutas are just trying to right-click down the battlecruisers, then the Glaveworm bounces are going to start killing the SCVs, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying the battlecruiser wouldn't be able to kill any corruptors if she had gone for corruptors.
Yes.
Right? Maybe with one with Yamato, but the corruptors, if you get like 10 of them, you can't out-repair that. That's 370 DPS once they kick into their second phase.
That is a very precise number. I'm amazed you've done the math that far.
It's either, well, I mean 10. It's just 10 times 37, or whatever the DPS of the second.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It doesn't really matter, because one BC couldn't fight all these mutas anyway, and GG is called. Scarlett moves on to the grand finals! Woo, she finally overcame.
Yeah.
MaSa.
Well, she's overcome him every single time this year.
Yeah.
3 times now.
For some reason, I'm still on about the last time that it was to face Neeb. Oh well, it's probably to face
it has
Neeb
happened
last
a lot.
time. It has happened a lot. I don't know.
Well, either way, congratulations. Scarlett is going to face off against her good friend, Alex Thunderhaft, in the grand finals now, which means one last match, Nate. One last match.
That's right. USA versus Canada.
Who are you predicting?
I know I'm a Neeb fanboy, so I'm going to say USA, USA, USA.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the grand finals.